Going
Yeah,
on with the pick and
perfect.
roll. Young LaFlame on sicko mode.
Wait, Forex, do you have like peak params right now? Can you send pictures?
I cannot.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure if I can give you peak params.
Hold on,
Okay.
let me check
Yeah,
real
yeah,
quick.
I can. No worries. You got the peak
Okay.
params if you do.
Coolio Fulio. Nah, I shouldn't say that. My fault. I forgot there was a nigga name. What was his name? Something Fulio. The nigga got stabbed to death. Rest in
Julio,
peace.
what the fuck? That's definitely not Julio. Definitely did not get stabbed to death. Definitely did not get.
Bro, what happened to that motherfucker? Okay, I heard some shit crazy happened to somebody with that name.
Dude, yeah, he was outside of his hotel and he got like shot. Like the whole time, like they
Oh,
like with like 4 AKs. They like it
honest to
was like
God,
damn near a
bro.
mafia video.
Shoot
It
me
was
before
crazy.
you stab me to death, bro. Shoot me before I would never want to be stabbed to death. Holy fuck.
Yeah, yeah, that's real, bro. That's real.
Once you're
Or do you
ready
want to
to
wait
like,
like get
no,
somebody do a
go.
ping?
Do a ping?
I can't think.
Yeah. I think people are just going to join eventually. But yeah,
I
if somebody
can't ping. I can't ping. I can't ping. Sorry.
uh yo, by the way,
Yeah.
just keep in mind the arguments I'm going to use are more like an experiment type of argument. Because I'm
Mm,
going to just stick with them, but it's not something I've used before in a debate.
okay. No
So
hate,
I'm
bro.
not.
I'm gonna scrutinize them heavy then, cause I want to
Yeah.
hear
Thanks you a worthy test subject, bro.
Hmm?
type shit. What's up, Yusuke?
So,
Yeah, what's good, Yiska?
what's up, fam?
How are you doing?
Okay. Yeah, we can start whenever if you guys are done.
Uh,
Yeah,
yeah, I'm like ready whenever you want. Yo, by the way,
Okay.
just in case, I'm just let you know because I make sure to mention this every time I debate. Just in case I mute, like let's say I'm talking, I just randomly go silent. I'm just muting
Uh-huh.
because I'm with people, so I don't want people to just get involved into that, like real life people. That is the reason
You're
why. So
fine.
just bear with me for a minute or two.
Yeah, you're fine.
Okay, perfect. So let's just start. Do you mind if I start with
Yeah, go for it.
Yorozu? Okay, so I'll send the scans. I think it's just a single scan, but yeah, I'll send that on the scan chat. Just give me a second. Also,
What do
by
you
the
think she
way,
scales?
uh, to Gojo and Kashimo, and I think those
Gojo
two
and
are
Kashi.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's interesting.
So
Okay.
I'll send the scan, and then I'll just give you my context of the scan, and we can just go off that. Okay?
Okay. Let's see. A slash that bisects the world itself. There was this fool who preached to me about love. According to her, I knew nothing about it because I live peerless in a world of my own. I understand what she meant, but still, it's quite annoying to hear someone else prattle on about what you don't know. It looks like she chose the wrong person to preach to. You and Gojo Satoru would have made much better company for her. Okay. So, do you think
So
anything within the scan indicates that
yeah,
she's Gojo or Kashima level?
yeah. So this is more of a philosophy thing from Yorozu. It's more like a mutual shared philosophy between those three people where they try to seek connection through fighting, basically. For example, Gojo tried to reach out to Sukuna by giving everything he had. Kashimo asks Sukuna to teach him how can he connect with people if everybody because he doesn't know, since like his entire life he was surrounded by people that didn't even come close to his level as he compares them to dirt. And Yorozu basically does the same thing when she like preaches about love or connection in that sense to Sukuna by trying to defeat him or kill him. And she thinks like, oh, he doesn't know about love because he's unrivaled. He lives on this unparalleled like world on a level that no one can reach out to him and actually connect with him. So I think Sukuna, just to clear something up at the start, Sukuna basically the thing why he was annoyed about that is the fact that his perspective of love is a bit different than those three. That's why he calls Gojo and Kashimo greedy. But my initial point on this scan is that from Sukuna's perspective, Yorozu is more than capable of connecting with either Gojo or Kashimo, or is more than capable of showing them this type of love or connection, which would be possible only if she had the stats and the capabilities to actually match them in a combat or an overall fight.
Wait, so I'm confused. So you think that because Yorozu is able to teach people about love, or Sukuna thinks that she'd be more readily able to teach Gojo or Kashima about
Mm,
love, that she
More,
therefore
more
scales
of
to them in power?
is more of the fact that to actually connect with somebody from these three people's, Yoros, Gojo, and Kashima's perspective, you need to be on their level. Just as I told you, Kashima
Wait,
could
why?
not because no. So yeah, let me just break it down piece by piece. Kashima could
Uh,
not connect with people because everybody was as equal as the dirt beneath his feet. That's what he compares them. They were weak. He asks Sukuna, how can you connect when you are so strong? So basically, to connect with somebody, you need to find somebody that matches your magnitude. And Gojo follows up with the same philosophy when he talks to Geto after he died over the fact that he tried to reach Sukuna. He gave it his all, trying to make him to understand
mhm.
that he can match his like magnitude. And Yorozu basically has the same philosophy. We see that when she fights Sukuna, she compares direct strength to love and tries to connect with Sukuna through the meaning of combat capabilities. And that's what he
Sukuna's not
thinks
even
is like, hmm?
Sukuna's not even saying that she should have fought them here. Somebody's saying Sukuna's saying that she should have given her lecture about love to those two, which is to say,
Yeah, but
he's
her
not even
leg,
recognizing it. He's even Sukuna's not even recognizing it as you need to be powerful enough to hang with these people in a
yeah,
fight for
yeah,
this message to really matter. He's just
that's
saying
what
that
I
he
meant.
already understands the message, whereas Gojo and Kashimo may not. But like verbally, that information that Yorozu was trying to communicate, that might be more valuable to them. He's not even talking about a fight here. He's talking about words. That's why he says that
No,
prattle, right? Hearing somebody prattle about it, that would have been better used on Gojo and Kashima. It's not even a fighting context.
no, no. So here's that's why I mentioned this at the beginning. The thing about Sukuna is because his perception of love is different. It's not the same as connection. He thinks we are loved because we're strong, and we respond to that love by basically killing those who actually appreciate our strength. So I think the context of the scam that Sukuna is trying to imply on this sentence, I can get you the Japanese for more context or more implication if you
That's
remember
fine.
from the
There's no need for
conversation.
that.
Yeah,
There's no
but
need
the
for that.
point is that what Sukuna is saying is that since you guys basically have a different perspective of love, right? Because to you to love or connect, it has to be through combat means. Yorozu has more chances of teaching you through those means, through combat means, because
Yeah,
she
but
would
that's
have
begging the
the
question.
third training. So
But that's
that's my
begging the question.
interpretation.
You're assuming the conclusion that when Sukuna says that her company would be better spent on Gojo and Gojo and Kashimo, that he means that in a combat sense. There's absolutely nothing here in the panel that suggests that. Again, everything that he's talking about, everything he's referencing, is Yorozu's verbal, the words that she says, not even the combat aspect of it. He doesn't even talk about fighting here. And this is also strange in context as well, because we're talking about the same Yorozu who on multiple occasions against a weaker Sukuna than the one that was going relative with Gojo, she was complaining about Sukuna not taking her seriously. So we have to assume this logic that somehow in this panel where combat isn't even really referenced, Yorozu is supposed to be on the level of somebody that Sukuna was going relative with, despite the fact that she was actively complaining on multiple occasions that Sukuna wasn't taking her that seriously, which I can show to you if you'd like. Actually, I just will show them,
Yeah,
actually.
I know the
I'll
fight. No,
send
no
those in
worries, it's
scans.
okay. No worries, it's
I'll just
okay. I
provide
think I actually,
yeah, the
you can send the
context.
scan, so I'll just address your
Yeah,
point.
that's
I
fine.
know this.
Here, let me send them, and then I'll read them, and
Yeah,
then if
yeah,
you have like a disagreement with it, we can get into that.
yeah.
But
I think I did actually explain, but
hold
maybe
on.
I was not clear enough to connect.
So just really quickly. So in scan one, so let's see here.
I
As I
know. That's
thought,
fine.
so Sukuna says, as I thought, there was no need to use my shrine at all. Is that all your so-called love amounts to? So very clearly, he's not even treating her seriously here. He doesn't even think that she's worthwhile using his main technique against. And then she goes on to say, don't underestimate me. I'm sure you're aware of the context where she's essentially begging him to use his shrine against her. These are not the marks of somebody that is Gojo level. Somebody that's just getting underestimated and toyed with by a non-serious new technique of the Ten Shadows Sukuna at like 15 to 16 fingers level.
So is that the context you're trying to like present over the idea that Gojo is basically on par with a stronger Suguna? Because I also disagree with that, but we can get into that
You disagree with
after I
Gojo
say.
being on par with a stronger Sukuna?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I disagree with that. I think there is
Wait,
too
hold on.
much
That's
context.
wait.
Yeah, I disagree with that. But let me just
Okay, we
address.
can get to that. We can get to that. Yeah,
Let
let's address
me
this first. Do you think
let
that Sukuna should
wait.
be back?
Before we get into that, let me just readdress one of the points that you consider to be begging the question over
Oh,
the
okay, sure.
standard high stand. Yeah. So basically, the reason why I think is combat related is because these guys only perceive love or connection through combat, as they show and question Sukuna. Kashima questions Sukuna, how do you love somebody or how do you connect with somebody if they are weaker than you? So basically, indicating a combat interference between you and the opponent in which you can only connect with them if they are strong enough. So that's why Sukuna is telling, after hearing Kashima's perspective of love and calling him greedy because of that,
Sukuna
since he
disagrees
has.
with you. In the panel
Yeah,
you
but
sent, he
I'm
disagrees
saying,
with you.
I know he
You
disagrees. I
know?
mentioned this at the beginning. Oh my God. I know he disagrees. I thought you meant over the philosophy of overall like
No,
connection.
I mean, Sukuna literally disagrees with you here. You're saying that love can only be talked about in like the context of fighting. Does Sukuna say
From
it looks like?
Kashima's
Wait, hold on, just
and
really
George's
quickly, just simple,
perspective.
very simple question. I think it would save us both a lot of time. Does Sukuna say it looks like she chose the wrong person to fight, or does it say it looks like she chose the wrong person to preach to?
I think the context of that is because simply he has a different perspective of what it means to love somebody. He
You
doesn't
think when
think you
Sukuna
need
says
to.
preaching, you think when Sukuna says preaching, he means fighting?
Yeah. So yeah,
Yes.
she tried. So yeah, so she tried to actually teach Sukuna about love because she believed, as he said, I was annoyed over the fact that she was talking over things, assuming that I don't know about. And she thinks that because she believes he lives in a peerless world of himself, because he is just that strong and nobody can match him on the battle. So she believes that she actually can close that gap. So this is a matter of philosophy. So Sukuna has a different perspective of what it means to love somebody. He doesn't think that somebody needs to match you, or he doesn't think that you need to match somebody in order to love them. As for him, love or connection is shown through the idea that you are loved because you are strong. I can send you the scans. He explains to Kashimo on the like after the fight
Yeah.
ends. So that's
Yeah,
why
you don't have
she
to do that. That's fine. I
yeah
agree with you on like Sukuna's philosophy of strength and love. I'm not arguing about the contents of that philosophy. I'm arguing about the
yeah
fact that none of all of this context that you're bringing up, just I don't think it matters because the words on the page tell us that the only reason why he brings up Yorozu in comparison to Kashimo or Gojo is not within a fighting context, is not saying that she should have fought them. It was to say that she should have preached to them. He's talking about the philosophy exiting her mouth. Those would have been better used on their ears than Sukuna. This is not a combat feat. It's not a combat statement. There's no implication of combat being involved. The
let me
extra context that you're reading into it, it's just not supported through the text. I would consider it almost some sort of fan fiction. And so I would ask
no
you again,
no
do
uh,
you think that this makes sense that she's of a
yeah
Gojo or Kashimo level, despite the fact that she was admitting and being frustrated within the fight with a weaker Sukuna that he wasn't taking her seriously? It doesn't add up.
I think there's context that actually explains that. So let me
Which
just
part?
send these scans because I think maybe they are necessary.
You think there's context that informs which part?
Yeah.
What I just said.
Yeah, on Sukuna, like Gojo going for like combating a stronger Sukuna, and Yorozu being basically fighting a weaker Sukuna. This entire connection, that how does it make sense for them to be on pair if one is actually closer to a stronger Sukuna than the other one? So let me just
Wait,
first send this
you
context.
think that the 20 finger Sukuna who went out of his way to not only consume the remaining fingers but consume a mummy head because the other finger was missing? You think that
No,
Sukuna is
that's not
weaker than the one that Yorozu
that's
fought?
not what I'm
Or
talking
did I
about. But
mishear
let's
you?
just leave that for the when I get to
Well,
address that.
I
So
just want to make sure I didn't mishear
I-
you. No, I'm genuinely asking a clarifying question.
yeah.
Like,
So now
is the claim
I think
specific?
there is
What is the claim
context.
specifically?
So I think there is context that explains why Yorozu can be on Gojo's level
Oh,
while having this worst performance against the weaker Sukuna, because I think Sukuna, there is some context. I want to address the context of Gojo's relativity to Sukuna when we get to that point, if you don't mind. So I will just clarify one more thing.
sure.
If you want to just move on from the point, then we can just continue with Gojo one after I mention this, because I just want to clarify my intent of using the scan. as you said, that there is no supporting line or phrase on the scan that just says that mentions combat.
Hmm. Who
So
knows? I
basically,
was born a
he-
cursed and one with
no,
revenge.
no,
Okay,
no, no need to read that all is okay. So basically,
sure.
the initial point of the scan is that he says Kashima says directly to Sukuna, uh, how can you connect with others? How can you love those beneath you while knowing nothing of weakness? So he's basically making the direct comparison of love with strength. So while Sukuna is saying Yorozu would have been a much better match for Gojo or Kashimo, is because these guys
That's
only
not what he said.
perceive love. No, no, that's what it says on the scan.
That's
When
not what he said.
he's
He didn't say
talking about
better match. Whenever you say things, hold on. Whenever you say things like he said she would have been a better match, for example, you're loading your language. Because again, he explicitly does not say that she should have fought those two, or that it would be competitively more interesting in a fight. He said it
no,
would be
but
more
here's the
interesting in
thing.
the aspect of her saying what she had to say to Sukuna, verbally expressing her philosophy through words on love and strength, not through combat. This is never said ever.
No, he literally says she choose the wrong opponent to preach to. Look,
To preach.
here's the
Again, what does
thing.
preach mean? Do you when you
Yeah,
preach
but
to somebody, does your
the
local
thing,
pastor in a church, does your local pastor fight people? Is that how he
no,
communicates?
that's not the context because she was not talking about love by actually telling him. She was trying to show that love through fighting him. So I think that is the
She was doing
context.
both. She was trying to fight him as well as talk to him. The fact that Sukuna isolated the aspect of her talking to him and
Yeah,
compared
but
it to
she
Gojo
doesn't
and
do
Sukuna,
that.
but did not reference the aspect of fighting him, makes it even more clear, makes it even more intentional that, again, Sukuna is not comparing them fighting wise. He's saying that they were lacking understanding or perspective on love, and her words would have been more useful on them.
Okay, let's do it like this, and let's just conclude or give a conclusion
Yeah.
with a quick
Okay.
summary to why you think you like to your context of the scan, and I'll give you mine
Sure.
without adding any additional like I don't know
Okay.
like argument. Yeah, yeah, go on.
Yeah. I mean, I'm essentially making like some sort of argument, I guess, from parsimony, which is to say that I'm just looking at the words on the screen. Sukuna explicitly says you should have preached to those two with no mention of fighting. In fact, it seems very specific, very intentional that he isolated the word preach. He isolated the aspect of her talking and did not say anything about her fighting Gojo or Sukuna because he never compares them comparatively. This never happens. I'm saying that all the fluff that you're adding, all the extra context, I think that it's interesting. I suppose it's like a nice theory, but I don't think that this is supported through text. I think this is mostly like an intuitive opinion based thing on your end, whereas I think I'm using what's actually in the text as a fact. And I think the idea that she's Gojo level, despite the fact that you admitted that she did worse against a weaker, not really trying Sukuna than Gojo did, I just
No,
think
wait,
it's
we don't include
counterintuitive,
that point
conflicting with
because
the
I
argument you're
haven't
making.
addressed that. Uh, well, the Gojo point that you mentioned at the end, I haven't addressed that because I said there's context that doesn't really contradict this belief.
Okay, we can get
But
to. You know, I'll retract that. I'll retract that for now. I think you did agree to it earlier, but I'll retract it for now. But even all that being said, that's why I think
I
I
mean, you
win this
can,
point.
yeah, yeah, no worries. Okay, so to
We can
my
get to
interpretation, so basically what Suguna is talking about is the idea that these guys only understand connection through fighting or through combat. As he says to them, should have been a much better opponent to preach about love to Gojo and Kashimo. After hearing their basically after understanding and hearing how they perceive those type of actions, as he calls them both greedy for trying to seek connection through combat as a different like as somebody that has a different philosophy when it comes down to connecting with somebody else. Now the thing is the preaching in question here I don't think is isolated specifically specifically to talking because Kashimo verbatimly says how do you connect with those or how do you love those that are weaker than you, while Yorozu was not talking about love in a sense of like having a conversation with Suguna, but she said, I'll show you my love. Basically, as I mentioned earlier, she was trying to do that through combat means. So I think Suguna is simply saying that her way of preaching about that is through combat. So, to Suguna's perspective, she has the capabilities of actually matching Gojo and Suguna and actually showing them what love is by their own perspective of what love means, which, as I mentioned, is through combat wise.
okay.
So, okay, so let's go
Uh,
to Gojo. I
yeah, let's
think
get to the
Gojo
Gojo
versus
point.
Sukuna. Yeah, I
So
think Sukuna was simply holding back, and I don't think he would have any difficulty if, assumingly, he was fighting Gojo without Ten Shadows or without the context of trying to adapt, because I think that was his main point of fighting Gojo to begin with. I don't think so to put it simply, I don't think before chapter 230, before he got brain damage, I don't think Sukuna considered Gojo too much of a threat or something that can actually get his interest aside from his technique. He just says, like, he compares Gojo. He says to Gojo that he's nothing more than just a fishier fish than the rest. So you are just a bit more slippery than the rest, but you are still a nameless fish. And he actually highlights that before he gets brain damage. So I think at the peak of the fight, the general idea that Sukuna was not using Shrine simply to adapt is because he wanted to adapt to Gojo more than to fight Gojo. That's why I believe he was prolonging the fight up to the point that the adaptation would be close to be achieved.
Sure. So to be clear, we don't disagree. We both agree that Sukuna was holding back on Gojo to some extent throughout the fight. I will say there's two things though that I just don't think this is super relevant. Number one, as we mentioned before, this is a stronger version of Sukuna. Obviously, he ate the fingers. Obviously, he ate the mummy head. Obviously, that's going to contribute to his strength. Do you disagree with that?
I think when you say stronger in comparison to 16 fingers, yeah, in like overall, yeah, he should be stronger. I don't have
Great.
any
Okay, so
issues
we
with that.
agree that this is a stronger Sukuna. Okay, fantastic. And then number two, yeah, he was holding back, but I don't think he was holding back as much because he was way more impressed with Gojo than Yorozu. As you'll recall, he called Gojo magnificent and said he'll remember him as long as he lives. As you'll recall, it was stated, I believe, by the narrator that Sukuna had felt fear for the first time in 1,000 years. Interestingly
More
enough, he
like a
did
tension,
not
but yeah,
feel this. Interestingly
yeah.
enough, he did not feel this towards Yorozu. And then as well, so the argument just becomes, yeah, you can argue that he was holding back in both instances, but he was holding back less against Gojo. He was more impressed by Gojo. He was stronger against Gojo. So by
Mhm.
no means is Yorozu at all scalable to Gojo because she did not even really that well against a non-serious, non-trying Sukuna. Like it just doesn't fit.
Maybe I was not clear, but I should have mentioned is that when I said like he's holding back, my intention is that if he went all out, I believe the fight would be nothing more than a low diff on Sukuna's perspective, on Sukuna's favor. Sorry, so it's more like I don't think Sukuna would have much trouble if he was actually fighting Gojo at actually full arsenal or
I
using time. So that
I don't know
was
where you
again,
get that, but my response is like,
yeah,
even if
I'll
that
get into that.
is
I'll
true,
get into that.
even if that is true, it isn't relevant because if he's low diffing Gojo and fully serious, he's like negative diffing Yorozu if he's fully serious. Like I just
Yeah,
don't
but
think it matters
that
anyway.
just so here's the thing. Here's the thing. The idea is that Gojo doesn't scale to the Sukuna. That's what I'm saying. If a Sukuna goes all out, so I don't think it makes much of a difference. So the low div that he's actually
He doesn't need to scale to
used
Sukuna.
so
Wait. To be
yeah,
clear, I don't even care if he scales. Just, I mean, I do think he scales to Sukuna. I just don't even care if he truly does. I'm saying
yeah,
that
I'll
he
give you
shows
the
some.
context.
I'm saying to be clear, I'm saying he shows relativity with a much stronger Sukuna. Again, enough to make Sukuna concerned of actually losing. Enough for
Yeah.
Sukuna to acknowledge him as magnificent for the rest of his life. Whereas with Yorozu's like, stop underestimating me. You're not taking me seriously. Sukuna's like, huh, okay, I didn't even need to use Shrine against you, as expected. Like she was just nothing to like, a weaker, non-trying Sukuna. So like none of this actually
Yeah,
closes the
I
gap
get your
and
I get your
quantifies her as
point.
being of this tier. It just
I
doesn't.
get your point, but here's the thing. Here's the thing. I think the context of the fight past 230 changes. So I'll get into that. So as I said to
It,
you,
okay.
throughout 225 and 230, I believe Sukuna had basically, as I mentioned to you, he found Gojo nothing more than an ordinary person. Now I'm trying to conclude over the idea of the uh, peak of the fight, or when both of them were at the highest of their strength before receiving brain damage. So I think because of that, he didn't really get impressed by Gojo, because Gojo did not really display anything on Suguna's or on Suguna's perspective that Suguna had not anticipated. Now, for example, do you remember when Gojo is about to use his sixth domain? Suguna is literally waiting there cross-handed for him to actually do that, because he actually expected that Gojo would fail, as he had calculated as
Okay,
far
that's
as that.
fine. None of whether or not Sukuna planned
Let
the
me finish.
entire fight, whether or not he
Let me finish.
anticipated
I'll
all of
get to the
this.
second part.
Okay,
I'll
okay,
get
go
to
ahead and finish. Okay, go ahead and finish.
Yeah, I'll get to the second part. No worries. So
Go for it. Go
by
for
that
it.
point, by that point, Sukuna had made basically a 99% calculation on how the fight would go, which went as he planned. The only miscalculation that he did was the aftermath of the unlimited void, basically. So I think Sugna, assumingly, had used Shrine from the beginning. The fight would have ended right at 230. When I mean Shrine, I mean more likely not using Mahoraga through the 5 domain clashes to adapt to Infinity and Unlimited
Yeah,
Void
that's
as well.
fine.
Yes,
That's
wait,
fine.
wait. I'll tell you
This
why
doesn't
he was.
contradict. I'm only interrupting because this doesn't contradict or
It
argue against
does, but
anything
I
that I've
just
said
want to make it
before.
clear. I just want to
We
make it
we both
clear.
agree Sukuna is stronger than Gojo. We both agree
Yeah,
Sukuna is
yeah,
better
yeah.
than
But
Gojo.
there's
I'm
the
not changing
and that makes Gojo fighting that stronger Sukuna irrelevant to begin. So I think so let me just address the tension part that you mentioned or the fear part. The narrator says that Sukuna felt fear for the first time, and then he calls Gojo magnificent. I believe he did call Gojo magnificent because Gojo took control of the fight from 230 to 236. He was on charge of the fight. He was on the one on the offensive, and he actually went outside of Sukuna's expectations. So
Could
he
Yorozu have
basically
done
made
that?
not wait, let me finish. Let me finish.
Not quite.
The
Okay,
initial point,
she could have done
the initial point is that that part of the fight would not have happened if Sukuna had used Shrine
that. It
and
doesn't
had
matter
used.
because
Wait,
it doesn't
wait,
matter.
wait,
The
wait, wait.
point.
So wait, let me
I'm sorry.
finish.
It's
Let me
just
finish.
it's. I know what you're saying, but the point is that it doesn't matter whether or not that part of the fight would have happened had Sukuna fought as he orthodoxly should have from the beginning. The point is, let's say that the fight gets to that point, and then we sub out Gojo for Yorozu. Yorozu is not doing that. Nothing indicates to us that Yorozu is of the level to do that. There's been nothing in the text. Absolutely nothing. She has no feats. She
Let
has no
me just
statements for
finish
it.
the
There's
line.
no narrative for it. So
Let me finish the line.
it doesn't matter if we both agree Sukuna over Gojo. It's just that Gojo was infinitely more within the proximity of Sukuna than Yorozu has ever been shown to be.
Let me
And I
finish.
think
Let me just add the
yeah,
last.
we,
I
we
was
can
on my
finish and then
last
we can
line.
conclude on the point.
Yeah,
That's cool.
yeah, I was on my last line. So basically, assumingly that Suguna had used those properties, I don't think the fight would have gone to the point that Suguna would feel tension or call him magnificent for the rest of his life, as I believe he would have been managed to slaughter Gojo. Sorry, he would be able to slaughter. Oh my god, give me a second.
You're fine.
Yeah, sorry, I'm a bit sick. So what I'm trying to say is that if he had used Shrine and Domain Amplification from the beginning of the fight, right? So he would have killed Gojo under the impression that you are nothing more than an ordinary person. Therefore, he would not be considering Gojo no different than actually Rosu. That's what I'm trying to say. If he had used
What?
amplification from the beginning, let me explain. If he had used amplification from the beginning of the fight, we have the direct visuals and actual feats of what would have happened from the second domain clash that they had. We see Sukuna is capable of oh my god, overwhelming Gojo in pure combat. He's able to throw him off balance. And the simplest way that he could have ended the fight is just push domains, have Gojo reach his limit, and then trap him inside the level and shrine as he was intending to do. But this
Okay.
time he just kills Gojo, he doesn't adapt. So wait, let me finish. Let me
I
finish.
don't think you get to. I don't think that
Let
Yorozu
me
gets to leech off this. I don't think that Yorozu gets to leech off this statement that Gojo is like just another fish on the cutting board. I don't think she gets to leech off of that. So by this and I'm genuinely asking, by this similar logic, so he called Gojo just another fish on the cutting board. He called Jogo not bad compared to all those he had fought. Based on those two statements, do you think that Jogo is Gojo level or higher?
No, I don't think he's Gojo level or higher.
Why
He
not?
had not fought No, no, no. Wait, there is context to Jogo's statement.
Oh,
He
there is
compared Jogo
context,
to the
isn't there?
ones. Yeah, yeah, yeah. He compared Jogo to the ones that he actually had fought before. So that just
Who
compares
is Gojo
Gojo
being
to.
compared to?
Sorry, my bad, my bad. Jogo. You know, like they have this name of Jogo and Gojo. Oh my god, it's confusing.
He was comparing Jogo to
Yeah,
everybody he had fought before, which includes Yorozu, by the way. He said that
there is
Jogo was
no
not bad
evidence.
comparatively.
There
So then
is
who
no
is he
evidence.
comparing Gojo to? And then why wouldn't Joe go off that statement say, I'm
There,
Gojo by
so
your logic?
this is under the presupposition that he actually fought Yorozu before. Kenjaku confirms that it always was a one-sided crush by Sukuna, and he was surprised. Sorry, by Yorozu. Like she was the one upset. Sukuna didn't care, and he was surprised over the fact that Sukuna is actually engaging her this time. So there is no evidence, nothing to support the idea that Yorozu and Sukuna fought on the Heian era or had any battle in track.
We literally know that they fought in the Heian era. We literally see an image of her slashed across her stomach
Yeah,
because he did it to her in the Heian
just
era, and she also
that
references it in
is
the
just
fight.
a base Yorozu who I'm not sure how much you can get of that
That was
alone.
base Yorozu. Wait, what do you think was
Yeah,
stronger, the slash that did that to base Yorozu, or the elephant that completely shattered the pinnacle of her technique,
uh,
that being the bug armor? Because it was
the
the slash, right? That's why she was begging him to use it.
she was begging him to use Malevolent Shrine. We know there's three types
No,
of
that's not
flash,
true.
but you cannot. You can look at. I'll get this scan.
I already sent the scan. She doesn't
Yeah,
say use malevolent shrine. She doesn't say use your domain. Hold on.
yeah, I'll get it. I'll get it.
Actually,
No
I
worries.
didn't send it. My fault. I still have it. Hold on.
Yeah,
Let me see. I think I should have it
the
here.
initial point is that all he did is just slice a base Yorozu. That's all. So I'm not sure how much you get from that. But there
Yeah,
is
but
no
the point
evidence that they actually. Do you think that is a fight on the sense like? I mean, Jogo
No,
didn't land a single
the
hit
point
on
is
him.
just that if his shrine technique is superior to the Ten Shadows technique, which it is, and the ten, not even the pinnacle of the Ten Shadows technique, just dropping the elephant on Yorozu completely annihilated her bug armor, which
Yeah,
she
that was
says is
after.
apparently among the pinnacle of her creation technique. Then I can only imagine what the slash would do to her. I'm saying that it doesn't matter if it's base Yorozu or not.
It's just
She's
a
still gonna
regular
fuck me either
slash.
way.
It's just a regular slash. I don't think it is much different. Like we know that regular slashes are not inherently supposed to be one shotting everybody on the verse. Like for example, you have you have what's his name Ryu who can actually
For you,
withstand the fire. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
yeah,
uh,
he has higher durability than Yorozu, to be clear.
no, the
So
point is
that's
that
not
he
going to
doesn't
be.
like the slash doesn't like sending a basic slash doesn't inherently just
No. That's
define
because, to
the
be clear,
entire
that's
power.
because we have an anti-feat. We have an anti-feat against Yorozu in that she succumbed to an inferior technique than the slash, whereas Ryu was hit with like two dismantles, right? And he was able to withstand it. And then on top of that, we have further reason to believe that Ryu's durability is higher than Yorozu because Ryu is the reference point in Shinjuku by which Yuta and Yuji are
No, no,
compared,
I
and
don't
he's
care about
specifically
that.
emphasized, not Yorozu.
I
So
don't
that's not
care
an
about
anti-feat
that.
against the slash. That's a
No.
okay, but
You
that
you
you say
misunderstand
you
my
don't care
point.
about it, but you understand why I'm saying this, right?
No, my point is that a singular slash doesn't really define Sukuna's arsenal. So
I
he
didn't say
could
it did.
withstand a regular slash, but he couldn't withstand cleave, which is also splashes, which only activate during contact. So wait,
I'm
where
not
do
saying
you
that every single slash obliterates every single opponent in the verse. That's not at all what I'm saying.
so how do you make a connection between a regular slash? He doesn't even make like physical
I'm just saying
movement.
we have confirmation. We literally have confirmation that Yorozu was dispatched up with slashes in the Heian area. You said that it doesn't matter. It's not an anti-feat because that was base Yorozu. I'm saying the fact that her bug armor was completely destroyed by an inferior technique would prove that the slash it wouldn't matter. The slash would bypass the bug armor anyway.
Look,
That's not a factor.
when you say inferior technique, specifically referring to, do you think like everything that
I'm
Shrine
saying
can
that the
do?
fact
Uh,
I'm saying
like
Shrine is a superior technique. Like Sukuna says, I
yeah,
didn't
but I
even
think
need
that
my
should
Shrine
include
against you.
everything. I think that
Wait,
should be including every single thing within the what Shrine can do. And we know Shrine as a technique can summon the divine flames, can use cleave, and can use
we're
dismantle.
not talking about the divine flames. We're obviously not talking about the divine flames. Nobody even
No,
mentions the divine flames
those
in the
are part
Yorozu
of
Sukuna
Shrine.
fight. The point
Those are
is,
part
if
of
you want to
Shrine.
argue that dismantle, if you want to argue that like dismantle is not the strongest technique in Shrine,
It
that's fine.
isn't.
Bro, the elephant isn't the strongest technique in Ten Shadows, not by a long shot. It's like an
Yeah,
average
the
technique.
thing is that she didn't just get one-shotted by the elephant. She actually got
Or
damaged
was
by.
it the ox rather? Which was it? Hold
Yeah.
on.
So
It was
wait,
either the ox or the
let me
elephant.
just give the let me just give the interaction. I think it's important to actually have
JJK.
the.
Yeah, let's send it. Hold on. Let's just send the scan in the chapter because it's like so apparent that this is inferior to Shrine. It's ridiculous.
When you say, I don't disagree with Shrine. Shrine, as I said, is a curse technique that involves divine flames, cleave, and dismantle. I'm saying, on overall view, Shrine can be superior, but that
Okay,
doesn't
but
mean that
she's asking to be cut. She's not asking to be hit with full
level
flame.
Shrine
She's asking to
by
be
making
shredded, which clearly indicates
by
dismantles and cleaves.
yeah, yeah. She is saying send those slashes, cut my flesh open.
Send
So
those slashes also more so implies
yes.
not even
Okay. Wait.
domain
Let me just
expansion,
get.
because remember
Let me just.
domain expansion. Hold on, remember domain expansion sure hits don't travel. So when she says send, which indicates travel, she's not even talking about Maleficent Shrine.
Wait. Wait. Let me just get the scan first, just in case I'm
Okay,
not like using the word.
go for it.
No, she just says cut me, slice me up, and rip it to shreds. She asks him to
Okay.
use Maleficent Shrine specifically.
Oh, I already sent the. Okay, my fault. I already sent the boom
Just
scan. It looks like.
give me a second.
Okay. And then after that, hopefully we should probably move on to
Yeah,
some of the
we can
Maki's
just conclude.
points, and then maybe
We
we can
can just
conclude
conclude.
because
We can just
yeah,
conclude.
okay, that sounds good.
So here's what she says. She doesn't say send slashes. She just asks, uh, just cut me up. So the initial point is that I don't think the Sukuna sending a regular slash without even moving his like muscles uh does really display any anti-feat, or that simple interaction should not be taken into account as a fight, as they didn't really fight. She just got caught, and she was actually glazing over that cut in a sense. If you remember, she was literally turned on by that cut. But yeah, anyway,
I don't see the
this
relevance in that. She's a freak. We all know she's a freak.
yeah. But
So
the
then,
point is that
see, so then in
she
the, so
unified
then
Sukuna.
I'm confused. What do you think the scenario is where somebody can scale to Sukuna, somebody can be Gojo level or scale to Sukuna legitimately, and they just get like tossed
That
aside in the Heian era, just like one shot essentially. Like, what context does that ever happen?
I don't think anybody scales or anybody of the Heian era matched Sukuna. That's the thing. You remember what I said? In
Yeah,
case
nobody.
I'm
Wait, yeah, nobody. Yeah, she doesn't. She doesn't come close. Okay.
Yeah, but I don't think Gojo comes close to Heian Sukuna too. That's why I
Okay.
brought up the idea
Well,
that
I don't want to backtrack. I don't want to backtrack
yeah.
onto that. If we're gonna get back to
No,
that,
we,
as
we
long as I'm
haven't
showing the stream,
concluded
I
that
think we
yet.
should.
So we can, because that was the initial point. Like right now, we are just on the sub point over the idea of comparison with Jogo, and how you ask me if I think Jogo and Gojo are on the same level. Uh, if you understand my point, because of Sukuna's like perspective on them. So what I was trying to say with Gojo
Yeah.
is the fact that the same way that he didn't seem to find Yorozu something crazy, he would not have thought, or he would not, sorry, he would have not acknowledged Gojo anybody more than somebody ordinary, somebody a nameless fish, somebody that has no value, cannot
Okay.
display anything relevant to him, if he had fought at full power or went all out in that sense. So I don't think the idea that he doesn't seem to find it necessary for Yorozu to use Shrine does make any much relevance. We know that he was actually uh, trying to kill Yorozu with Tenshadow specifically because of the Megumi, the plan he was trying to adapt. There's context of that. So yeah.
Okay. Do you
So
want to move
yeah,
on then?
one,
Do you want to like
uh,
conclude or?
yeah, sure. Yeah, I think we can just. Yeah, that is pretty much my side. If you want to add anything for Maki, then you can just do so.
Okay, sure. I mean, do you agree that obviously Infinite Spear can't target Maki because she's just immune to being targeted by domain expansions? That's just not a win
Uh,
condition.
inside of the domain, yeah, but you can do it outside as well. So I
Can
don't
she
think
like
you need the
spawn in on
domain.
her? Like, okay, like can it move? Because I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure it can't even move. Like it's just a
no, it's
stationary
no,
orb.
we see that. We see that. I'll show you. Give me a second.
Okay,
Yeah,
show
actually,
me this like being. Show me this
it's
like
similar
speed
to how like
scaling. I think you'd have to show the speed scaling to Maki because obviously she's precognition, so
no.
she'd be able to sense
So
this
okay,
coming,
let's give you the point at a time.
sense
Let's
some attack
first
coming.
get the fact that she can use the sphere outside of the domain. So in the combat sequence, she should be able to
I
do
don't
so.
even care if she can. I don't even care if she can. I'm just gonna say that Maki's precognition plus her speed would mean you need to prove that the sphere can move at a speed which can catch Maki, which I don't think you can prove.
Yeah, let's get into Maki's speed then. I'll send the scan
Okay,
just
so
so you don't care.
Maki's speed to be clear. So there's a couple things. We know that she can keep up with Shinjuku Sukuna. We know that this Shinjuku Sukuna still has the same output that he faced Ryu with in the Culling Games because he makes
I
similar
disagree.
statements about. You disagree?
Mhm.
Okay, so
No,
when he
but you
makes the
can finish.
similar
Yeah, give it up.
statement,
I'm
so
just, I'll
when he
finish.
make, so they make the comparison between Culling Game Sukuna being able to one shot, or sorry, being able to destroy Ryu, and Shinjuku Sukuna being able to one-shot essentially Yuta and Yuji, who he compares their durability as being slightly underneath of Ryu's. So like he
Uh,
has the same win conditions, the same output, it seems, as he did in the calling games at that specific instance, and then he gets stronger because, as you recall, he gets black flashes after that. His output is stated to increase, and then Maki still can keep up with him, still can take his slashes, etc.
once you're finished, let me know.
Oh,
So
that's it.
I'll
I'll
just
send the scans for that.
yeah,
I'll send the
so,
scans for that, by the way.
yeah. No worries. So first thing first, I disagree with Maki's overall capabilities in terms of speed. But before that,
Mhm.
to get to the viewpoint, he doesn't really say he needs that much of an output against Utah and Yuji. He just uses the idea that I need to make he says like I need to make like direct contact with those two to actually inflict lethal damages. Just as I did
Just
with
as it
that.
is with Ryu,
He just yeah. So he's just making the idea that these guys can tank the slashes just as you did. So now I need to make
because
direct.
they're
They can
comparable,
tag.
right? Like he's
Yeah,
because they're comparable,
he's
just we're
not.
on
I
the
don't
same
think he's
page.
comparing the durability because he says I don't think they are as durable as he is. Now here's the thing.
We're
That
not
is
saying I'm not
quite
saying he's
earlier.
equal. I didn't say equal. I said
I know,
comparable. They're
I
relative.
know, I know,
Yeah. Okay.
I know
Okay.
your point. But here's the issue with
Sure.
that. The thing is that he, by that point, he had the output necessary to actually inflict the type of damage if he made the contact. We see that with Yuji when he actually does that after catching Yuji and Yuji uses like the blood exploding on his face. He does a ton of damage of Yuji, uh, and Yuji even concedes that he would have died if he didn't have
Without
RCT. You remember
RCT.
that?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I
So
sent it in
the
scans. Yep.
initial point that I'm trying to say is that he actually makes a direct cleave at Utah much later into the fight after receiving multiple attacks from Yuji, which are the main reason that his like output decreases and his physicality dulls out. And he didn't make any damages. I mean, he did, but nothing of a lethal scale. I can show you
Yeah,
the
but you
scan.
already just accounted for that. You already just accounted for that. So not only was that in Yuta's domain
Yeah, the
expansion where
point.
he has a physical, not only was that in Yuta's domain expansion where he's physically amplified, but you already accounted for the output lowerings between the point in which those statements are made and the point in which Yuji lands soul hits on him that lower his output. And then again, when Maki is fighting him, she's able to keep up with him after his output raises once more due to the black
He doesn't
flashes, which
raise
I
it.
also sent in scans.
He,
And I also
he
sent in scans that
wait, wait,
he is.
yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
So
But
these are
all that is
the
sent already.
yeah. So here's the issue with that. Give me a second. I will
Uh,
just get the chance. I want to be on pair,
sure.
so we don't
Also,
get
I mean,
back and forth.
you would agree that Sukuna was trying against Maki, right? Like it's pretty
At
obvious
that
just based
point,
on how
no.
interested he is.
At that point, no. I don't think. I think he only
At
tried
that
when he
point,
got her.
no.
Yeah,
Wait, hold on. There's no way you think this. Hold on.
yeah. I do. I do. I'll explain it to you.
She
Let
can.
me
Let's
just.
see.
So, where is that damn scan when he actually uses cleave on Utah? Yeah. So the initial point is that from the time where he made the comparison of using like needing to make a direct contact and the output that he had by the end of the fight is much worse. You can see like he is making direct contact, but he doesn't even inflict damages to Utah to a great degree. He's just bleeding a bit, but is not of something lethal. Doesn't even like pierce
You
his
already
skull.
explained why that's the case, though. You
So
yourself, with your own words, already explained why that doesn't
yeah.
contradict
Now
your logic.
here comes the Maki fight. That happened right away after that particular experience. Now, keep in mind,
That's
we
not
have
what
a
I'm
super.
referencing.
No, so I mean, just based off the scans that you sent, just simply of
Okay,
the
that's not what
part.
I'm referencing. The scans, most of them that I sent are because again, there's two Maki fights. There's the Maki fight where she invades the domain when Yuta collapses it to signal her to sneak attack. That's what you're referencing right now. What I'm referencing is he lands a black flash on her during that exchange. His output begins getting renewed. She even comments that his output is
Can you
raising,
just send the
and then she
scans
not
on
only
that?
keeps up with him. She not only keeps up with him, but she takes his slashes, which from an output increase.
Can yeah? Can you just send the scans of those that you're
They're in
actually
scans.
referring to? They're in scan. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
My
you'll
bad.
see
My bad.
a
Yeah.
couple things.
Yeah.
But
No
yeah,
worries. No worries. No worries. No worries.
you're fine.
So, Yeah, this is actually a good scan over the idea that there's base slashes, not like dismantle. Yeah. I think I mentioned that he has three types of slashes, but I don't want to backtrack right now. So,
Yeah, but his dismantle literally tore through Yuji's body. Like Yuji doesn't even really scale to his
mm,
dismantles like
no,
that.
no,
Like
it's
he was
not
Maki
dismantle. It's not.
taking.
It's not. Oh, you're referring to the red
I'm,
circle
I'm
that
referring to
is.
when Yuji's durability is compared to Ryu's directly, and then his body gets ripped by dismantles, and then Maki takes what might be legitimately stronger dismantles, and she's fine. No need for RCT. Like she's
Give me
fine.
1 second. Give me 1 second. I just want to get the scan real quick.
Yeah, go
Mm,
for it.
I think there's a lot of context. I've been saying context a lot, but I think there's a lot of missing context to what is going on and presuppositions. So,
Mhm.
where is that damn chapter? Oh,
What are you looking for?
no worries. No worries. I got it. Um,
What are you looking for?
no worries. I got it.
Oh, okay, okay. Oh, quick question, by the way. Like you agree, Soul Split Katana just works, right? Like
Yeah,
it
yeah,
wouldn't slice through
okay.
her like butter. Okay,
Yeah, I know the idea that she can
okay.
just durability negate her, but I don't
Yeah,
think she's
I
gonna
didn't think we'd
do it.
have to have like a whole point on it.
Uh,
I just wanted to make sure
yeah,
we're on
yeah,
the same
yeah.
page here.
Nah, if you want to argue that if soul splitting katana would be capable of attacking her soul, then I don't disagree with that because that's the initial point of why Maki has it because she can make the property of attacking
Okay,
the soul. So yeah,
type
it
shit,
is necessary to get into that. So just let me
type
just
shit.
get the confirmation. Just also, I hope you I hope you remember that I disagreed with her scaling or her like overall comparison to Shinjuku Suguna, and I'll get into that later on. So
Okay.
to address this, I think it's best if I just mention this up right now. So here's a question, just to be clear, or just so we are on the same footing. Do you think heavily restriction users increase their strength after they're fully realized? Like, for example,
After they're
Maki. Do you
fully
think?
realized,
Yeah.
I don't see why they couldn't. So I think there's two things. I think that the heavily restriction probably does have a set strength boost that it grants you. I don't see why you couldn't train on your own to develop your physicals beyond that because that wouldn't be
You
granted
know,
by
like
heavily
there's a
restriction. That would
handicap.
be that would just be granted by physical training.
Yeah, so there's like a limit to how much you can increase your physicals. You know that's his stated, so you cannot go for forever. Do you want me to get the statement?
I mean, presumably, like everybody has like a natural limit at some point, but
Yeah,
like I
yeah.
wouldn't assume that Culling Games Maki is her limit. Like I wouldn't assume that
No, I
Shinjuku
mean,
Maki can be physically superior.
I think she is as strong and fast as she was in the calling games or when she got fully realized. I just think the only thing that they can actually improve after fully realizing is the overall experience or overall like battle efficiency. Like they can just get better. They can adapt to the fighting style that suits them the best. Like for
Yeah,
example,
I don't
Toji
think that is a
is
basis at all.
no, no. So here, this is under the idea that I believe heavily restriction users cannot physically grow all like above the state that when they fully realize, because the initial idea of their full, like them being fully realized, is the fact that they trade off everything to like jujutsu related to gain everything physically related. So to reach their full,
Yeah, I said there was.
time.
I said to be clear, I said there was a cutting off point for what the Heavenly Restriction Pact can grant you. I'm saying I'm not sure why physical training outside of the Pact wouldn't be able to grant you more physically dominant
Do you
features.
think
Like
that
I
they're
don't know
just
why. I don't
limited?
know why, for example, Maki could not like I don't run on the fucking treadmill and get faster. That's not the Heavenly Restriction making her faster. It's not her exchanging more for more benefit from the Pact. That's just external physical training.
Wait, so you think the like physical benefits you get from heavenly restrictions are just limited as it doesn't really just wholly realizes your physicality, it just grants you something of a higher of the state that you
I think there's
previously
a
were.
full realization to your physicality in that you trade off something and then the amount you get in return has a set limit. I would agree with that. But like for example, I wouldn't agree that like with Mekamaru, for example, like let's say Mekamaru I don't know. Like he obviously gets more cursed energy through his heavenly restriction. Like how would I actually scrap this example, whatever. I just the core point is we have what the heavenly restriction grants you, and then I don't see why that would restrict what you can give yourself through extended training outside of that. Through just
Yeah,
regular
so
training.
here's
I don't see
the
the
point.
problem with that.
Here's the issue with that. I think there's two stages of heavenly restriction. The one is the general trade-off, like for example, the Mekamaru example, in which he was born that way. He was born physically
Uh-huh.
disabled, but he was born with a lot of curse energy. Now, Maki was the same for the most of the part on the series. She did not. She had almost no curse energy. Now, when these heavenly restriction is fully realized. Now, this is the second stage, and I think when they are fully realized, the initial point of the heavenly restriction, especially on Maki's case, is that she is granted the maximum capabilities of her physicality. So she reached the handicap, or she reached the cap, or the limit of how much physically stronger she is, in exchange to not having the curse energy, which was Mai the sense since Mai
I
died.
mean, I'd be
I'm sure you
interested
know
in a
how this
statement
works.
for that. I'd be interested in a
Uh,
statement for that. But
we
also as well, what exactly is the relevance to this?
the initial idea is just that I don't think Maki has improved physically from calling games to Shinjuku. I don't think she's faster or stronger.
Yeah, but how does that benefit you?
She's relative to Sukuna. No, she's not relative in that sense. She's more like, I mean, yeah, that would be relative. But the initial point is that
She's relative
she
to the same
should
Sukuna who's not trying against Yorozu.
know is more of a lesser
Actually, that should
Sukuna.
be a physically stronger. That should be a physically stronger Sukuna because that was Yuji's body too. No, it wasn't. What am I talking about? I'm sorry.
No,
Scrap. That was
no,
wrong.
no.
I
My
don't know why I
point
just
is
said that.
was
I don't know. Why I
he
just said.
was,
Go
yeah,
ahead.
it's okay, it's okay. My point is that no worries. Yeah, my point is that he's basically overwhelmed by a Sukuna whose physicality is close to his overall 10% performance. Like by default, do you think? Wait, quick question. Do you think Sukuna, when he gets to Megumi's bot, do you think he's 16 fingers or 15 fingers? Just to be clear.
Hmm? I don't really know or care. 16 fingers, right?
I think he's 15, but if you don't care, we don't have to get into that.
What are you like arguing that he's only okay? If you want to argue that he's only at 10%, cursed energy, go ahead and send the
No,
scans over for
overall,
reference.
because
We
he
can
also
talk
says
about that
that.
if you like. We can talk
Yeah,
about that
yeah,
if you
yeah,
like.
that is where I'm getting into. So by default, what's the 10% of 50?
'Cause the argument was 10% of 50 would be 1.5.
Yeah,
You're gonna
so
argue
yeah,
that Maki is 1.5 finger level.
yeah, not 1.5 in that particular sense because he says that his physicality he implies that he's influenced, but is not as bad as the curse energy. So
Okay.
if it's not as bad, but it's like still not at full at full
Okay. Cool. Could you send the scan that
capability.
the heavenly restriction? Could you send the scan that the heavenly restriction realizes the full potential for physicality overall, and that there's no possibility that like
Oh,
external
that'd be
training
just my
could ever make
yeah,
her stronger?
yeah, no
I'm
worries,
very
no worries.
because obviously this argument hinges on that, and I just don't think that
Yeah, yeah,
statement.
no worries, no worries, no worries. Let me just. I need to make a scan server actually. Let me just see if
You're
I
fine.
can find it here. Yeah. Just bear
Okay.
with me for a minute.
Yeah, take your time, man. This nigga True is in the server. Bro, how many people are in this fucking server?
What statement are you looking for?
Uh, there's multiple of them, so let me see. Because I have
Yeah, because like
this
all
immense.
the statements, I'm pretty sure just say that she became fully realized, but that's only in
Yeah,
context to like
yeah,
her heavenly restriction.
no worries, no
That's only in
worries.
context to what her heavenly restriction can grant her.
So yeah, see the initial point. There is like multiple pictures. Just give me 1 second, okay?
You're fine.
Mm.
Do 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 do. You and me could write a bad romance.
Wait, how much have we been on VC for? Is it like 30
Probably like
minutes or?
probably like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Do you want to just like wrap up after this point?
I mean, I don't think there would be much left because the initial following point is that I was going to mention. I'm not sure if you're going to consider this a backtrack, but regardless, I was just going to mention the fact that Yorozu, in terms of physicality, is capable of blitzing Sukuna. Physically wise, I can
No,
explain
she's
why I
not.
don't think. Yeah, she is actually, but I don't think I can explain why that doesn't necessarily mean that she is stronger than Sukuna. But yeah, let me just
I,
see
I
if
just
I.
I just I just don't see how you quantify somebody blitzing a person who's just explicitly not trying, both according to himself
Oh,
and according
wait.
to
Did
Yorozu.
I mention? Did I mention the point of? Did I mention the point of what's it called? The fact that Sukuna doesn't have a. Oh, never mind. Never mind. You brought up a different Sukuna. My bad.
Mhm. Okay.
Like a different fight. I'll just use this. Yeah, yeah.
We
Uh,
can just
yeah. I'll
Senior
just
Paul is
send
always
this.
trying to debate theism. Bro, I had a crazy dream actually. I might become Christian. I have no idea.
Mm, if you want the actual scans that are mentioned there, in this, I can send them to you if you want. But I'm sure
Yeah,
everything
just
is
send him a
covered
scan
within.
spread.
Yeah, I send the scan. I send like the entire summary why she cannot get stronger than what she was in calling games.
You said summary. I just want a scan.
Yeah, basically the entire argument, but is on text since it's like from an old thing. So I was looking if I can send the scans because I only had
Her
these
heavenly
two.
restriction can be fully
Yeah.
realized doesn't mean her body can't get stronger. Heavenly restriction is simply a trade-off of one thing for another. They have equal value. All this means is that all of Maki's growth would have been CE is translated to superhuman strength. Wait, we agree though, but then I'm just making the case that all of her strength is not limited to her CE efficiency or CE volume, but that also there's a physicality aspect which CE enhances that she could also further train. So just as a heavenly restriction, just as CE enhances your normal physical attributes, heavenly restriction could also presumably enhance your normal physical attributes. Those physical attributes can be worked on. If Maki comes up with 36-inch biceps, she's probably stronger than, I don't know, like 18-inch biceps. Heavenly restriction withstanding, that version is probably stronger because her hardware is stronger. Like that's just what I'm arguing. So in that similar
Yeah,
sense, I'm
yeah, I get
arguing
your point. We
why
are
would
missing out
Maki
the.
be limited to only her calling game strength? Because
Okay,
that's never
let's just do
stated
it with the
anywhere.
conclusion. Let's just do it with the conclusion on these
Okay.
heavenly restrictions because I'll just mention what I mentioned before with the body limit and how heavenly restriction works in relation to that aspect. So,
Yeah. You want to
yeah,
just
let's just
conclude that? Okay.
yeah, just go on with your like conclusions. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Like I'm essentially arguing that heavenly restriction is a software. You can say that she's maxed out on her software. I would just argue that her hardware is still in question and that it's never verified, never stated, and therefore your claim has just been left unproven. That she can never get stronger, right? So therefore, this argument that she's being held back by some sort of calling games anti-feat is just based upon a premise that cannot be satisfied, cannot be proven. As for do you want like to do conclusions for the overall debate or just on this point?
Just on this point, just on this point.
Okay.
So to my
Yeah, that's the
perspective,
argument I would
the
just
idea of family restriction is a basic trade-off. First thing first, I mentioned this earlier, but is the idea that there is a limit to how much a body can grow, and the essential point of family restriction is trading one thing for another. So basically, the entire thing that I'm trying to say is that when Maki fully realizes and her family restriction is on the physical aspect, that just means that her body is granted the full potential of the overall strength that it can cap into or can limit into. That's why I don't think she can get stronger from that point on, supported by the scan that I sent recently. Uh, but I think she can become a better fighter as she can optimize what she's capable of in a more efficient way, which benefits her fighting style. So yeah, that is my initial conclusion to why she cannot get stronger on the aspect of physicality, like faster or like physically stronger.
Okay. Well, I don't have
So,
any more points I want to make for Maki. You got anything else?
do you want to get on Yorozu's feet, like in terms of physical interaction with Sukino?
Yeah, if you'd like to.
Yeah, let me just send the scans. Let's just make this
Okay.
one quick.
Sure. I'm just curious how
Mm,
you ever quantify how she physically measures up to somebody, because like I mentioned, both parties say that, Sukuna's not really trying.
Yeah, but when he's not trying, I think it's just on the jujutsu aspect, as he says, I didn't need to use malevolent shrine. So I think you'd agree over the fact that there's a big difference on the sorcerer using his curse technique and not using his curse technique, like in overall how much strong they are. Because I think when somebody's compared or when somebody's called strong in Jujutsu Kaisen, especially a sorcerer. Obviously, their curse technique is the main resource of what makes them strong. So basically, what makes Sukuna so strong. I mean, he is completed in all way around, but his main source of damage or main source of what called like considered he is considered strong
Yeah.
is his curse
Can you
technique.
send
So
the Can you send the scanner for
yeah,
Pixie?
no worries. Give me a second. A
Yeah.
statement? Wait, you said
Yeah.
statement?
Wherever you. No, the
Yeah,
scan.
no worries. No, I got you.
Let's.
You need to like hop into the Yorozu agenda.
I do not think I need to do that.
You do, bro. Look at her. Try to look at the hair narrow.
I
One,
don't know.
not
It
the.
sounds like a losing argument from what I've heard.
Oh my god, why isn't this scanned? Oh shit, I'll just screenshot it. Oh, by the way, I'm not sure if I mentioned, but I'm using TCB for every scan that
That's
I've
fun.
sent so far. I'm not sure if you're okay with it. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, I would be too, but I tried using TCB and I think I got 50 viruses on my computer. So fuck that website.
Why?
Lol.
Hold on.
Just 50 though? Just 50?
Oh shit,
Shit, it
there
might have
is.
been more. It might have been 60,
Yeah,
70.
somebody might be breaking the records at this point. But why don't you use like an ad blocker? Like he's very helpful. Like you can send me one, and you can actually very
I don't know how
useful.
to put app blockers on my phone. I'm very technologically
I'll show
illiterate.
you. I'll show you after the VC. It's very simple. I'll just give you an app that actually has been working very well for me.
Cool. Yo, this nigga Aries, I might get a restraining order. That was a creepy ass screenshot. Yo.
Mhm. Yeah,
Judah, 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 Judah.
I think this is all the times they interact physically, similar to how Maki does with Sukuna. So basically, let me just explain. So first thing, base Yorozu, if you want to call her before her like transformation, goes pretty relative to Sukuna. We can see the exchange. We can see she can react to Sukuna. We can see she can, yeah, pretty much react to Sukuna. Wait, where is that one other scan? I think I'm missing one scan.
Angel
No,
was
wait.
there too, and
No,
yeah,
no, 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 no. No, no worries. I've sent everything.
she's
So then,
landing
when
like no. Wait, when you say react to Sukuna, Sukuna's being completely defensive here, and she's landing nothing. So
no,
she
I'm
lands
talking.
one. So she lands one attack. But one of the interesting things to note is that hold on, let me pull this up. So everything aside from the attack she lands, Sukuna's being completely defensive, and she's not landing any hits. So I don't think that's reacting whatsoever. And then she lands one attack, but you'll notice, or it's either like one or two attacks, but you'll notice Sukuna has the wheel on his head, which is to say that he's literally adapting. Like he's like, why would this not be considered
I
part of his
don't
technique
think
if
that
Maharaki can
adapting.
adapt?
No, no, I'm not. I don't disagree with the idea that he's adapting. He blatantly states that. I think there's a different aspect of what he is adapting through, or how he is adapting. So, my
So
initial
then
point is that
if his plan is to adapt, then this doesn't upscale Yorozu. Like
yeah, I just don't think
she
the
inherently has to be
physical.
able to hit him, if anything, because Sukuna would let her. Because you have to be
Yeah,
hit by something to
no,
adapt
no,
to
I don't think
or
that
experience it.
is the way. Yeah, I get your point. No worries. My initial point, first thing, is that they go pretty much close. She can react to him. She reacts once because that's how much Sukuna does. He doesn't, as you said, he's on the defensive, so he's letting her attack, and he can react to her obviously. So that should be
How are you
enough.
reactive to somebody if they're defensive and you are
No,
the
no,
one
I'm not
being
talking
the
about
aggressor?
that. I said there is no like visuals or no feeds of her reacting again because he is the one that is on the defensive. Like first scan, he kicks her. Just the order of the scans is sorry because that's why I got confused if I've said everything. The first scan is actually the second scan in the order, like the
That's
one
fine.
so yeah, so they're
Yeah,
basically
I don't.
engaging in combat. He reacts to her and she reacts to him basically.
She doesn't react
Uh,
to him. Okay. She doesn't react. Okay, and this is the thing. Whenever she's quote unquote reacting to him in a defensive stance, that doesn't make sense. You don't have to scale to somebody in speed for them to block your attack. They have to scale to you in
no,
speed. That doesn't mean you scale to them in speed, right? It's purely them
That's
reacting to you. You're not reacting to them. The only time, but as you'll notice, when he doesn't have the wheel on his head, she gets absolutely no contact. She gets absolutely no hit off on him. The only time she does, as you'll notice in the panel that you sent, is when he has the wheel on his head. That's for a reason. How do you quantify that she's actually being able to react to him and actually being able to tag him, as opposed to him allowing her to do that? Because we've already been told by both of them that to some extent Sukuna is holding back, and now all of a sudden she's hitting him with the wheel. Like, how is that not just an adaptation thing?
yeah.
Why would this be
So
scalable?
again, you see the latest scan that I sent? Like I've sent that above, but just in case.
Where he
That is
kicks
the
her away?
one. Yeah. So she blocks it with her liquid, right? And
This is the most casual kick.
I mean, it's
Wait, you think Sukuna's going all out here?
allowed. Yeah, I don't think there is any reason for him to hold back in physicality. That's why I made the point of when somebody's compared to like jujitsu, so like overall strength, they're
He's literally
capability.
resting his hand on his chin.
Yeah, that is no, he's not.
He's
That
literally
is a,
he's literally doing
no,
the pose he does when he's sitting on his throne. He's resting his hand on his chin.
no. That is just like a boxing stance. You know, like when you're like holding your hand in front of you, or like your fist as a like a
That would make
defensive.
sense. Wait, that would make sense if he was doing anything else to look like he's in a boxing stance. His other hand is not even in view. His other hand is behind his
Yeah,
feet.
but you
Not
see
sure
on
how
the
that.
other
I'm not sure how
hand,
that contributes to a boxing stance. He looks
yeah,
bored.
that the boxing
Casually
stance
kicks her
is just
away.
like the boxing stance is just for like just to give you a
A
visual.
boxing
But you can
stance
see
is
on the
that.
following. No, no, I'm not saying he's doing a boxing stand. I'm saying just like when you're fighting, like boxing somebody, when you show your like keep your fist in front of your face. I'm not sure what the term is called. I just
That's a
know is
defensive
often.
stance,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
this is
yeah,
not a
yeah,
defensive stance.
yeah.
Like,
So
what does
here's
this
the
defend
thing.
him from?
So here, oh my God. So it's just a regular stances you do. Even when you punch somebody, you still keep that hand up just in case they might counterattack you. I'm sure you have seen at least a boxing match. So you know, like how they
Yeah, sure,
switch,
but
right? And they keep one hand just in case to defend, in case their opponent just manages to actually
this is
react
not
to
that
that.
stance. I would I would
Yeah,
I
but you're
would I
seeing
would
it on the
I would
following.
absolutely challenge you to find me a single boxing stance that actually looks like this. This looks like he's resting his hand on his face.
Yeah,
So he
yeah. Like, oh my God, I got. Yo, this is actually very. Yeah, I think this should be. Yeah, just to describe the visuals. I'm not saying he's boxing because he's obviously using his feet, but initially you get
right.
my point. It's just
So
like
he's
how you.
protecting his. So that person right there is protecting his chin. That makes sense. Sukuna's not protecting his chin. To be clear, the front and underside of his chin are completely exposed. Any boxer who does that, you would say they have sloppy form. They're leaving themselves up to be rocked. Unless you're against an opponent that you don't respect, which seems pretty consistent. Sukuna doesn't really respect Yorozu like that. Doesn't take her that seriously. I don't think that this
Let me
validates the
let me
panel.
let me let me send another one then, because the initial
Okay.
point is that holding your hand there mid combat doesn't indicate that you're actually resting your chin. It's just like a stance you do while combating somebody. As we see them, they actually exchange in. He's like blocking her, uh, and
Okay,
then
but
he
again,
keeps.
we can point out
So wait,
several
wait. Let me
notable
also mention this.
distinctions.
I've tried to
We
say
can
this
point out
many
several
times.
notable distinctions though. So this person is moving their head off center line. They're engaging in head movement. Sukuna's head is completely on center line. This person again is protecting the underside of their chin, right? Because that's one of the most vulnerable areas for somebody to be striked. Sukuna is not doing that. Sukuna is just covering his cheek. He's covering the left side of his cheek. That's not a defensive
That
boxing
is
stance.
not the point. I'm not trying to say it's the same thing. I'm saying it's just like that when people actually fight. So it's just a
It's not just
defensive
like that.
stand. So now here's the thing. Here's the thing.
I would believe you if I would believe you if
Why?
Sukuna had no experience in fighting and was completely martially inept, but we know he's not.
No, I don't think that. I don't think that. I don't think that. Uh, what I'm trying
And
to
then
say is that we see.
okay,
I tried to mention this like 2 times or 3 times by now, but we literally see on the following panels that he's not holding that stance anymore. So why would he hold his him having the supposedly faced literally in front of his face. Wait, give me 1 second.
So wait,
Let me
you're
just.
saying you're saying even if we assume that this is him in a defensive guard, he lets his guard down in the following panels, and you think that makes Yorozu
No,
look good?
in the following panels, as when she's on the mantis form, like when she
I,
uses
I
the
just, I'm
bug
just
armor.
confused on how you think. I'm just confused how you think any of this makes Yorozu look good.
The initial
I mean,
point is that
it's
they were on pair. They were on pair on base when Yorozu was on base, and she was able to outperform him when she transformed. Now to get to the adaptation point, right?
No, she
So you
wasn't.
said yes, she was. She was able to blitz him.
No, you have yet to you have yet to justify why, again, that's her legitimately blitzing a trying Sukuna as opposed to Sukuna allowing himself to be hit because the adaptation wheel is on his head and he's adapting to her technique while
Yeah, that's what
actively
I'm getting
trying out
at.
the new technique that he just got. Like you can't
Yeah,
quantify
yeah.
that again as full power Sukuna being reacted to. You just can't.
Mm, I'll get into that. No worries. Let me just see. Did I save the panel where he explains
Can we
the
get into it?
adaptation?
Can we get into it now? Because I'll concede this
Yeah,
entire debate if you can. I'll concede this entire debate if you can prove
yeah,
that
yeah.
he's
No
fully
worries. No
trying
worries. No worries.
right. Okay.
Mhm. Here is what he explains. So I think when he was adapting was when he was actually interacting with the liquids themselves. Uh, the initial point is that you know like how the adaptation works, right?
Yeah, you experience a phenomenon, the wheel turns, you adapt to it. The more complex the technique, the more wheel turns it takes.
Wait, can you repeat that again? Sorry, I was reading something in chat.
Yep. You experience a phenomena, the wheel turns in adaptation. The more complex the technique, the more wheel turns it takes.
Yes,
Techniques like
yeah,
yours
exactly. But
with poor cursed energy efficiency always tend up to end in
yeah,
functional
that-
problems.
do
When
you
push
agree
comes
that?
to shove, you'll always fall back on what you're
Yeah,
used
no
to.
worries, no worries, no
It'll
worries.
either be the liquid metal or your insect armor. So this is literally him, Sukuna, admitting that he predicted she would do this. So we can in retrospect say that him being hit was him acting on the plan to be to adapt to her, right? Like
So
we
yeah,
agree that he was just adapting.
point by point, point by point. First thing first. Yes,
Yep.
the adaptation is under the idea that once you start receiving an attack, right, uh, the wheel starts to spin. But the more you receive, the faster it starts to analyze. Now, here's the thing: the timing of the analyze from Maharaga is dependable to how complex the curse technique
Sure.
is. Yeah, so that's why it takes longer for the infinity, and that's why it takes lesser for the liquid because it's not a very complex first technique. So now there's two interpretations to that. So what Suguna says is that techniques like yours with poor curse energy efficiency always tend to end up as a one-trick pony. He said like he had adapted to it all. And he makes a distinction on the liquid metal. Wait, what does he say here? I forgot. Which comes
Look, I think the point
so,
is that he
yeah.
admits that he was trying to adapt to her
No,
throughout
I'm
the
I'm
entire
not
fight.
against
It
the
was his
against
plan from the beginning.
no, I'm not against the idea that I'm not against the idea that
It's not
he
the
was
idea,
adapting.
it's the fact.
No,
It's the fact. He
yeah,
states it. It's in words,
I'm
in your
not
statement.
against the fact that he was adapting. I just think that during the instances where he actually where to fight Mantis or like what
When
does he
he's
say like
adapting is when the wheel is
like
on his
insect
head.
I know no words.
Every
What I'm trying to
instance where
say
she hits him, the wheel is on his head.
what I'm
Every
trying to
instance.
what I'm trying to say is the fact that the wheel doesn't disappear. You know, she's not hitting. So if he has to like adapt, he has to keep the wheel atop of his
I
head.
know,
If
I'm
he,
saying every single instance of you claiming that she hits him, the wheel is on his head.
yeah, but
He's
here's the
trying
issue.
to adapt.
Let me get into the interaction. We see him actually attempt to block her, right? But she
The
is
wheel's
unable
not
to
on
do
his
so. No, the wheel is on his head. Look
Okay,
here.
which skin are you talking about?
Yeah, let me just send them.
Pork?
Yeah.
The fuck?
What's up?
Yo, yo, where did you come from, man?
I've been
Debate,
debating this
mid
nigga on
debate, mid
JJ.
debate.
Yeah.
Bro, I asked you to come here, you're like, nah, I'm good. This guy spawned in.
Sorry, bro. I spawned in like few
You're
hours ago.
chilling. You're chilling. You're
That's,
debating on
Yeah,
you're debating on my guts. Let's see.
oh, sweet.
we are
Let's
doing Yorozu versus Maki. So yeah, you can see on this instances where she attacks him, he tries to block her. He summons the divine dogs, and then she proceeds to actually get on the other side while Suguna is still doing the summoning and actually kick him again. So now the thing is that one point is just as I mentioned before. I don't think he's holding back in physicality. I just think he's holding back in overall battle strength, which would build a malevolent shrine. As that's the only thing that he mentions. He says I didn't
I'm
need to use malevolent shrine. So
I'm just
that's
confused.
why we have
Where's the attempted block?
here on
The,
this one. He summons the divine dogs. You can see like she punches Sukuna multiple times at the top scan. You can see Sukuna's head being one time at the left and one time at the right.
yeah, I know. That just doesn't address what's in question though. There's no block on screen.
My Let me send them on
Like
order then.
clearly he's not getting blitzed by her because when she does kick
Okay,
him in
why
the
do you think
face,
he would summon?
he's when he does kick her in the face, he's literally facing her. He's looking at her. So it's not as if
No, the thing.
it's not as if he's being blitzed.
Why do you think he would summon the divine dogs in the opposite direction of Yorozu, and while looking at that direction as well?
I just don't think he's being super serious. That's what's
No,
in
I think
question.
he's being. I don't think he's
I
not
just
being
don't think
serious.
he's trying to
All
do
right.
crazy damage to her right now. I just
He literally was trying to kill
Yo,
her.
yo. Hold on. I am not about to listen to this shit again be argued. So, because it kind of
Yeah,
just
we
goes
can
back
just.
to whether or not his
Yeah,
seriousness. So, can we conclude on this?
yeah, no worries, no worries,
yeah,
no worries.
sure. Yeah, that's fine. I mean, even in conclusion, even in the panel that you sent, there's like an acknowledgement of him holding back in some facet. Like you're not even going to use Shrine yet. And
Yeah,
again, like
that's
we've
why I
gone through the
mentioned the.
instances of every instance in which she tries to attack him without the wheel on his head. She has zero success. You've shown zero success rate for her attacking him without the wheel on his head. He
They
admits
don't
after the
fight.
fight that he was always planning on using the wheel to adapt to her. And then every instance he does hit her, he's not off guard because he's facing her. He's literally facing her direction when he gets kicked in the face and the wheel's on his head. So you're just never quantifying that this is her scaling to a full power Sukune in this state. It just can't happen.
Yeah, is that a conclusion to the
Yeah,
like?
well, to
Yeah,
that
okay.
point.
So
I would
to
assume
my
to that.
interpretation, yeah, no worries, no worries.
Yeah.
To my interpretation, they go pretty much relative when they not relative on the prolonged sense, but uh, she reacts to Sukuna, Sukuna reacts to her. I think I established the idea on the resting chin point, which supposedly would be Sukuna not bothering himself, and that point being the fact that that's just a fighting stance, just as how boxers do that, or how like overall fighting fighters do that, where they keep one hand in front of their face as a defense mechanism or to just defend during a fight. Now, when they go on when she goes on the insect armor form, uh, we see her be capable of actually attacking Sukuna multiple times, leaving no reaction from Sukuna's side. Now, I do agree over the idea that he was adapting to those, but the fact that the one I'm using is not inherently the idea that he has to hold back in order to not in order for Yorozu to allow him to actually sorry, in order for him to allow Yorozu to hit him so he can adapt on that process. I think simply by what we see, he summons a divine dog and he literally is summoning that on the literal opposite direction of where Yorozu is, and that should be in a defense sense, as he's trying to defend against Yorozu. As I said, he doesn't have to hold back. There is no indication that he would actually he's actually holding back in physicality, where all they mention about is shrine, which is his curse technique, as I mentioned earlier, puts a distinction or is his main source of damage or one of the main reasons why he's called that strong or considered that strong, as even the statement implies that you need shrine to actually overwhelm me. So you're also getting on the literal opposite side of Sukuna, of where Sukuna summon the divine dog should be an establishment to the fact that she was actually overwhelming him in pure combat. That is my point. So I think that should summarize most of the uh,
Okay. Is that the debate then?
physicality stuff.
Yeah, I have nothing.
Do you want to give like an overall summary to the entire thing? Why you think you won and why I think I won?
Uh, sure, I can do it really quickly.
Yeah,
I
just
can just
because
say,
like it's a long debate.
I'll just say again, I don't think that there's any quantification to get Yorozu at all to even a 15 finger Sukuna level. You tried earlier to argue that Yorozu is actually comparable to Gojo or Kashimo, despite the fact that the statement used for that justification didn't even have Sukuna compare her to them in a combat sense. He just said she should have talked to them. She should have preached to them about her ideals of love. So that doesn't even, it's not even really a scalable context anyway. Maki, we agree, has a soul split katana, which Yorozu has really no defense against. There was no, I don't think there was any downscale whatsoever to Maki fighting against Sukuna in Shinjuku, who was apparently at the same output he was during the Culling games, just by using the comparison between his ability to one-shot people with Ryu level durability with the same techniques that he did against Ryu in the Culling game. So that should be a good way to scale him there. And then he proceeds to hit a Black Flash after that. His output is stated to be raising, and Maki's still capable of swapping with him and still capable of taking the same dismantles that Yuji would have died to had he not had RCT. We know she's not detectable by Infinite Sphere in Domain Expansion. That's not a win con. Infinite Sphere was never scaled to have the speed outside of Domain Expansion to hit Maki in the first place. Precog should prevent that. I think that's about it.
So yeah, that's the entire conclusion. Okay, so to my perspective, basically the initial starting point of the debate was over the context of Sukuna's interpretation or Sukuna's intent of saying she'd have been a better opponent to preach to Kashimo and Gojo instead of him. I think there's 2 points to which actually uh, give context to the statement. The first thing is that he was not a reliable person, or he was not the right person because his perspective of love is different. As he was annoyed over the fact that she believed he doesn't understand love, as her philosophy of love and connection is through combat means, and his philosophy of connection and love is simply just by slaughtering those who actually appreciate him or think of him that he is strong. So that is the thing that annoyed Sukuna on that perspective. And now, when it comes down to the preaching part, Euros doesn't talk about love on a uh, like like giving speeches about that. She literally tries to show you love through combat. Kashima is seeking love through combat, and Gojo does support the same idea or belief that uh like you can try to reach somebody by being on their like state of level, like how he tries to say, I try to teach him about love, like connection, something along the lines. So when he's saying preaching, he'll obviously going to refer to since he's talking to Kashima as well, he's going to refer to the way that Yorozu uh, Yorozu tries to show love, which, as I said, is through combat means, and that's how Kashimo was also trying to seek that. I don't think it even makes sense for them to get that question answered simply by somebody talking of love. I don't think if it was that easy. I'm not, wait, if I say something that I didn't mention on the debate, just let me know, okay? Uh, I don't think it was that easy given of how Gojo interacts with Geto on the afterlife when he talks about his solitude overall. So, long story short, the preaching sense would be through combat means because that's how Yorozu tries to show love, and that just should indicate that she's capable. She has the necessary means to, in physical terms, to actually be on par with Gojo or Kashimo. We didn't touch either Kashimo or Gojo is stronger, so I'm not going to get into that. We went over the idea that of how their performance between two different Sukunas is. I made sure to establish the idea that if Sukuna was going aloud or using Shrine, regardless, you'd have no deep or low deep Gojo, or that to Sukuna's perspective, Gojo is nothing more than an ordinary person who just is a bit better than the rest of his time. Uh, so going back to Maki, Heavenly Restriction, I think I established why her physicality is capped because she's making a direct trade-off to get the full potential of her physicality as is fully realized. And the only thing that she can establish by that point forward is only the experience or the battle efficiency. And I mentioned that there is a physical limit to how much you can grow, with which Forks also agrees into. Like there is a handicap, or like there is a limit, as I said. And I think that's what the trade-off for of the heavenly restriction is to just fully grant you the best state of your physicality. And to the last point, I think Maki is more or less relative to uh, two-finger sukuna, three-finger sukuna, you call it. I don't care. It's just something close to 10%, which is still not anywhere close to 15-finger sukuna against Yorozu. I also mentioned the idea of the output, of how low his output got by that point in time. He said, oh wait, what did he say? Oh my God. Oh yeah, the output increasing, blah, blah, blah. I think that's covered over the fact that she cannot get stronger than what she was in the calling game, which initially follows the belief that Yorozu scales physically to a stronger Sukuna in combat. No reasons for him to hold physically. We see him trying to react and fail to do so. And long story short, Yorozu in terms of physicality would be comparable to 15-finger Sukuna, while Maki would be around 2 or 3 fingers of Sukuna in terms of physicality. Oh shit, I think I talked too much, but that should be pretty much it.
Okay, so
Okay.
we're done here. Bet.
Yeah, I don't think I have anything else to.
Yeah, I think we're
Okay.
done.
Okay. Well, all right.
Wait, before
I will
I'll go.
give
You just give a judgment, and you guys can let me know on chat, okay?
okay. Bet. Just